Hello, everyone, and welcome to the SCOOPS VFLW Game Changer Show. I'm your host, SCOOPS, the sole admin of SCOOPS. And wow, what a round of VFLW footy it was. We had some results that had a few minute patches that got us side over the line. We had a comeback from a top side against a bottom side who had an influx of AFLW players this week. We had an upset, a team that hadn't won a game against a side they lost to only about 4 weeks ago by 21 points at home, and then they won by over 40 points away. We then had a game where a result was expected once the side doesn't feel their side of AFLW players. They are 0-2, and that's the Bulldogs with an 0-2 record without AFLW players in their team, without any at all. And then we had what we expected, the reigning premiers smashing Darebin by over 40 points. Then we had a game where it was really close the whole way through, and Shani Whiting led the side with 3 goals of the 4 goals in the game, and Shani Whiting had 3 of those 4, as Essendon were held goalless and were very inaccurate, kicking 0-11. Now I want to get into everything this evening on the SCOOPS VFLW Game Changers Show. I'm going to go through my team of the week. SCOOPS goes bang. I'm going to review the rounds that's gone and upcoming. But some news I want to mention off the top as well. This relates to AFLW state championships, under 18 state championships. Now, I'm not going to go into it in full detail, but I've written a post for all 3 under 18 state AFLW state championship games. It was Vic Metro and South Australia. It was WA and Queensland, and it was Vic Country and the Allies. The results of those games, Vic Country won by 46 points, 10-6, 66 to the Allies, 2-8-20. The second game saw Queensland lose in the last 15 seconds. Sorry, Queensland won in the last 15 seconds thanks to Georgia Davies, who is the sister of Fleur Davies and Darcy Davies and Giselle Davies, who are all at 3 AFLW clubs respectively. Georgia will be a part of the Gold Coast Academy, so she'll join Darcy at the Suns next season. They had a good late win over the WA side, who played bloody well as well, 9-5-59 to 8-8-56. And the final game saw Vic Metro have a 4-point win over South Australia, 4-11-35 to 4-7-31. You know what? I'm going to cover it anyway. So in that Vic Metro game against South Australia, which was the last game, that was a 4-point game, we had 4 Vic Metro. So these are some names to keep an eye out on that have started in the first game so far, and there's going to be 4 games combined for everyone this season. Chloe Bound, who's potentially bound to be a top 10 selection, was the best for Vic Metro with 27 disposals, along with 11 tackles, 10 inside 50s, and 5 clearances. Taylor McMillan from the Eastern Rangers, she had 23 disposals with her 6 clearances. Asher Fern-Wannon, who I've had on the podcast before, she had 13 disposals with 6 tackles, a very tall prospect. Briley Anderson had 16 disposals with 6 tackles. And key position forward, Zoe Vozzo kicked 3 goals with her 7 disposals. For South Australia, I mean, all these names I'm about to mention had insane games. Imogen Trengove, who was playing in the under-18 state championships for SA last year. This year it's her draft year. She was dominant. 2 goals, 26 disposals, 5 clearances. Emma Charlton, who is the younger sister of Tia Charlton, she is draft eligible this year, who also played some games last year. She had an amazing 31 disposals with 8 clearances and 5 tackles, one to watch. And potential number 1 draft pick, Eloise Makaroth, kicked a goal for SA in yesterday's game. And Lucy Way from SA had 25 disposals, 8 tackles and 6 clearances. Monique Beeson had 17 disposals with 6 tackles. Georgie Fieldler had 19 disposals with 3 tackles, and Lucy Moore got a goal with her 16 possessions. So that's that game. In terms of Vic Country and the Allies, for Vic Country, twin sisters Nalu and Mizuki Brothwell both had 15 disposals each, with Nalu kicking a goal. Nikita Spiteri, who I've had on the podcast from Murray Bushrangers, she had a good game with 2 goals, 9 disposals, and 3 score involvements. Maggie Johnson, who for the Rebels, She was really, really strong with a goal, 20 disposals, 7 tackles, 3 clearances, 5 score involvements, and 5 intercept possessions throughout the midfield. Stella Huxtable from the Geelong Falcons had 8 clearances along with her 18 possessions. Ella Stoddart from the Gippsland Power had 17 disposals, while Georgia Terrell from the Geelong Falcons, had 16 disposals with a whopping 15 tackles at 88% disposal efficiency. Abby Hobson was fantastic with 2 goals and her 15 disposals, while Jovi Skews Clinton got 3 goals with 4 tackles. And for the Allies, Isla Wenke recorded 7 intercept possessions. So I'll continue on there with the Allies. So Isla Wenke recorded 7 intercept possessions along with 19 possessions and 9 tackles. Misha Barwin from Tassie had 6 score involvements along with her 14 disposals, 6 tackles and 3 behinds. Priya Bowering, who's been a top draft prospect from Tassie for the last few years, and their best draft prospect, had 15 disposals with 3 clearances in the midfield. Zoe Curry kicked a goal along with her 14 disposals. Now, the game where I feel like had the best impact in terms of all-round all-round big name performances. All 3 games had a lot of players do very well throughout the whole 3 games, but this game I feel like was the most impactful stats of it all, and it was the goal that Georgia Davies for Queensland kicked the winning goal with about 15 seconds to go and celebrated very well. She was everywhere, Georgia Davies. She can play in the ruck. She plays through the midfield, can go forward and kick a goal. She kicked that late match-winning goal, along with 21 disposals, 11 intercept possessions, and 4 clearances. She was part of the Gold Coast Academy. Annabelle Foch, who's a part of their academy as well, had 18 disposals and 7 tackles. She played very well last year, when it wasn't her draft year last year, but this year it is, and she was very good. Mia Gia had 6 score involvements with 16 disposals and a goal. She's draft eligible next year. Sunny Lappin, who is a father-daughter selection, has 3 options, including Gold Coast, St Kilda, and Carlton, I believe, at the top of my head. She was everywhere with 23 disposals, 6 clearances, and 5 marks. And top Gold Coast draft prospect, Alana Welsh, kicked a goal with 9 tackles. Now, Ava Usher, who did not play, she's also part of Gold Coast Academy. She's coming back from an injury. She's potentially pick number 1 as well. All the Gold Coast Academy girls are potential to be pick number 1, which is a scary proposition for Gold Coast. Well, not for Gold Coast, for opposition against Gold Coast in 2027. And finally, for WA, side that's full of talent again this year, Cara Sadaro from the Swan Districts, who was in the state squad last year but was injured, had an amazing game. The AFLW Academy game, which was recently against the Australian side, she had an amazing game then, and she backed it up at the first game of the state championships with 29 disposals, a goal, 5 clearances, 6 intercept possessions, 7 score involvements. A very, very dominant player, and was in my inaugural, or my longest ever goal kicking challenge in Perth, which she was in the final 3. That's all I'll say. Renee Morgan, another one that was in last year's state side. This year it's her draft year. She was good last year and even better so far to start this season or this championships. 20 disposals, 6 tackles and 5 score involvements through the midfield and forward. Mia Russo from West Perth throughout the midfield, and an injury interrupted preparation going into this game, but she dominated and like that never happened. 27 disposals along with 8 inside 50s, 6 intercept possessions and 4 clearances. Juliet Kelly was fantastic with a goal, 23 disposals and 5 tackles. Lexi Strawn and Alicia Blizzard both had good games with a goal each, as did Olivia Woolmerans, who kicked 2 goals in his potential first-round draft pick for this year. I could go through almost every player from that game and every other game, but I'd be here for 7 hours plus going through everyone's stats. But all players contributed in all 3 games for all 6 sides, and there'll be 3 more rounds for everyone throughout the next few months to showcase their talent heading into the AFLW draft in December later this year. Now, from the VFLW point of view, I do want to mention a player signing from the Crows. Congratulations to Christina Lucci, who is from the Woodville West Torrens. She has signed with the Crows as an injury replacement player. Congratulations to Christina for signing with the Crows. Now, Chloe Dalton has retired from the GWS Giants today, effective immediately. So the Giants will have another list spot open. So, is this finally going to be the time for Stacia Stevenson, Talia Sanger, Amy Trinidad, Charlotte Brewer, all the names that I keep mentioning every single week, Isla Baldwin, Surely it's time for one of them to be selected. I feel like these sides need to go outside the box. Like GWS are an interstate club. Don't go local. Go for one of those girls that I just mentioned. They are all shown throughout this VFLW season how talented they are and harshly missed out on their draft years the last year or two, depending on who you're talking about. Or is it a former AFLW player in Millie Peck? Is it Sophie Locke, who's gone back-to-back good weeks for Sandy? It depends what position GWS want, but they're the names that I would be considering if I was the Giants for a selection at their club. They do probably lack some tall options as well. So Millie Peck could be an option, who's dominated this year. Nike to Jock, who's another one I keep mentioning every week. The Giants need another tall forward. Nike could provide that. She's leading the Coleman medal race again this year, well ahead of second best now after kicking 4 goals for on the weekend. She's got the X factor and everything, so why didn't she got to go? All those names I just mentioned, and there's probably some that I'm forgetting off the top of my head. They're just off the top of my head that just come to mind. They should be ones that people should be looking at for sure. And one I haven't really mentioned too much, but seems to get mentioned every week when I was talking about Box Hill, is Matilda Van Berkel, a tall defender, gets a lot of the ball, a lot of intercept disposals like this week. Spoiler alert, she'll be in my team of the week yet again this week. She's someone I feel like should be on the list. She's not old at all, and that shouldn't even matter if you're old, like if you're around 30 or 25 or whatever. If your form warrants a spot, your age shouldn't matter when you get drafted. Whether you're 18 or whether you're 30, if you're in the form of your life and you're in the form of the competition as a defender, in Matilda's case, well, then you should be drafted. So Matilda Van Berkel is one to watch for me. She's killing it this year for Box Hill. So we'll wait and see how she goes in terms of that as well. So there's some names just off the top of my head. And Paige Price is another ruck option who's dominant for Box Hill every week and is yet again in this week's team of the week. Spoiler alert there. Seems to be in every week. Will be the All-Australian ruck this year. You can almost guarantee that. So there's all those goss for you all. Now, I have filmed a goal kicking challenge with some VFLW players as well recently. So they'll be on the channel over due time, and I'll reveal them over the coming days and weeks as well, because I've got so much videos I haven't been able to put out yet that I've already recorded, and they'll be out in due time from all state leagues, AFLW as well. So if you know any AFLW players, any state league players or draft prospects, and you'd like to see them on the channel in a goal kicking challenge and or interview, please do send me a message. We'll try and get something sorted. If you'd like to be a co-host on this show, my AFLW show, which will be starting back in about a month or so, or my Kick It Scoops AFL show, please send me a message on Instagram, AFL Info Live, which is on the screen right now, and we'll try and get something sorted. Just approaching 4,400 subscribers, so I really do appreciate that very much. Alrighty. It's now time for that world famous segment, Scoops Goes Bang. Wow, wow, wow. So this is a topic that's kind of I mention all the time about the fixturing and everything like that. I'm going to be very particular with what I'm talking about here. Now, the VFLW Grand Final will be the week of round 2 or 3 of the AFLW season. Okay. I think it's the 30th to the 31st or the 1st or something like that. Basically, round 2 or 3 of the AFLW season. Whenever Collingwood and Melbourne play in the AFLW season, I think that's round 3. That's when the VFLW Grand Final is meant to be. There is a game on Sunday in the women's competition in the AFLW at Vic Park. On Saturday, there's a plethora of games in the afternoon, Geelong and Sydney, St Kilda, West Coast. So I plead with the VFLW. You want to maximise the attendance, you want to maximise the audience and everything like that. Do not put the game during the day before 2 o'clock on Saturday or on Sunday. Either do it on a Friday night, which apparently you won't be, so that rules that out. Make it at 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock even at ETU Stadium at Port Melbourne. They have the lights, they can play it at night. It then won't clash with any AFLW game in Melbourne. Maximise on that. Please do not clash the VFLW prelim finals or grand final with the AFLW season. Just please don't clash it, because you won't be winning that way, because then people have to choose what game they want to go to. So I plead with you, please do not clash it with any AFLW game that's in Melbourne at least. Sure, it's impossible to not schedule it without any game on, but do not schedule it when there's an AFLW women's game on during the day. Do it after that game, whenever that time is. I believe it's 1:05 for Vic Park, so that'll finish at 3:05 or so. So have it at like 4 o'clock. So then people can go from that game if that's where they're going from, or just so they can go in general. It doesn't clash with any game in Melbourne. Maximize attendance, viewership, everything like that. Do not put it on at the same time as an AFLW game that's currently in Melbourne that weekend, on the Saturday or the Sunday. The Saturday one will make it a bit hard. So it's either going to be Saturday night, right, in the background, Icon Park, or ETU Stadium, or Whitten Oval. And as you know, it can't be at Whitten Oval Saturday night because it's an AFLW game there, I believe, that round. So you've got to maximise on it. It's got to be Icon Park or ETU Stadium if it's Saturday night, or if it's Sunday, it's got to be in the afternoon, preferably at night, like 5 o'clock or something. But just do not schedule it the same time or roughly the same time as the AFLW games that are in Melbourne that Saturday and Sunday. Please do not clash it. Otherwise, not only me will I be annoyed with that clash of fixtures, but a whole lot of other people are not going to be happy about it. Maximize on your attendance. Maximize on the viewership. Do not clash it with an AFLW game in Melbourne. I'll say this one more time. Please do not clash the VFLW prelim finals or grand final with a AFLW game that is on at the same time in Melbourne. Put it away from it so it doesn't clash, so people can go and or watch both games separately and there's no clash involved. Please be smart. Do not clash any of those games with an AFLW game, in particular in Melbourne. Please do the right thing for everyone that wants to go to both games, or everyone just wants to watch both games. Please and thank you. All right, a very different style of Scoops Goes Bang this evening, but here we are. I plead with the VFLW competition. Please do not clash with the AFLW games, in particular the ones in Melbourne. Otherwise, you're going to have a lot of people that are not going to be happy, and they're going to have to pick between the two, and then you're not maximising on the opportunity. You want people to go, and you want it to be a massive spectacle. You know what I mean? Massive spectacle. I can't even say spectacle. There you go. Massive spectacle. Then, if you want that, do not clash it. Thank you. Got the word out eventually. Spectacle. There we go. 2 for 2. I'm on fire now. Right. Okay. Now it's time for my Scoops Round 9 VFLW Team of the Week. From the back line, the pockets, Matilda Van Berkel and Maeve Chaplin. Full back, Stacey Livingston. Half back line, the flankers, Jemima Wrigley and Saraid Taylor. Centre half back, Nadia Von Batouch. Wingers, Emily Eves and Tash Entwistle. Centre woman, Talia Sanger. Half forward line, the flankers, Nicola Davidson and Sarah Lampard. Centre half forward, Nike DeJock. Forward pockets, Sophie Locke and Jess Matten. Full forward, Millie Peck. Ruck, Paige Price. Rovers, Maddie DeCosmo. Mecca Morrissey. Interchange, Isla Baldwin, Ava Seaton, Bella Clark, Stella Reid, and Amy Trinidad. The long list of emergencies this week was so hard to choose. Shani Whiting, Abby Tregellis, Ange Gokas, Ash Patton, Chloe Saltry, Gabby Collingwood, Abby Vaffel, Sasha Stevenson, Tamsin Crook, and Sarah Senetti. Now, reasons for these selections, let's go. Right, so you can see on the screen there, Matilda Van Berkel had like 19 disposals, had like 11 intercept possessions, had like a lot of contested possessions as well. So absolutely warranted a spot. Now, I did get to attend the VFLW game between I can't speak tonight, sorry for that. Again, I was at the Port Melbourne Collingwood game and then caught the back end of the second quarter onwards of the Sandy Bulldogs game. And Stacey Livingston absolutely dominated. That was a general down in the back line, giving a bit of lip to Brie McFarlane when she was having a shot in the third quarter, I think it was. Pretty funny. They were trying to put her off, saying double points if you hit the point post. That was pretty funny. She actually almost did. But yeah, she was a rock down in the back line, Stacey Livingston, who was going to retire last year. Well, she did from the AFLW and has come back because Sandy needs some players after having a lot of injuries in the key position stocks, and Stacey Livingston has provided a spark in that back line that they desperately needed with Valerie Morris going down. They needed another leader in that back line, and Stacey has provided that in her 2 games back-to-back weeks in the All-Australian team, in my team of the week as well. Maeve Chaplin. Now, we're going to get to Melbourne flooding their VFLW team with AFLW players, with 8 of them to be precise, and I would argue that 6 of them are starting 22 players. So, yeah, let's continue on with the team of the week, shall we? So, we have here Jemima Wrigley. She had 22 disposals, like 7 intercept possessions. She was a rock down in the back line. Sarah A. Taylor had 21 disposals. Had 11 intercept possessions and deserved a spot on the side. Maeve Chaplin was very similar as well. Nadia Von Batouch, 20 disposals, like 11 intercept possessions, lock again. Emily Eves had 21 disposals with like 12 clearances or 9 clearances. Very close. Talia Sanger was phenomenal. 33 disposals, 11 tackles, like 10 clearances as well. She was phenomenal. Tasha Enwistle, now, she had 10 disposals and 6 tackles, but it wasn't the numbers. It's what she'd done with it. Every time she had it, something happened. She was part of the chain that led to goals or score involvements, and Tash was very, very good in the second half that I saw, and definitely warranted a spot because her play resulted in a lot of goals or scoring shots as well. Davidson for Port Melbourne, she was really good. Kicked a goal, 23 disposals. What more can I say? Very, very good for Port Melbourne in a side that had the loss, but we'll get to that game in detail shortly. Nike to Jock. She kicked 4 goals forward with 17 disposals. Absolutely killing it this season, leading the goal kicking for a reason. Should be on an AFLW list, but that's how she went. Sarah Lampard, the Demon, 26 disposals, 8 clearances. No surprise. She's a gun of Melbourne's AFLW side, and it's no surprise she killed it on the weekend for Casey. Sophie Locke, 2 goals, 14 disposals. That's the Sophie that we know the former when she was at Hawthorn. 2 goals, 14 disposals, a few tackles. Really nice goal that I captured, which is on my channel as well. Go check out both match day vlogs. They're both out. The Port Melbourne Collingwood one and Sandy Western Bulldogs one. You see the goal I got of her second goal. It was a great goal. Got through her opponent and kicked a nice goal to seal it. She was phenomenal. Yet again, back-to-back weeks for Soph as well. Jess Madden kicked 2 goals with 21 disposals. Was a lock up forward. Been really good, Jess Madden, the last 3 weeks in particular, 4 weeks since that Collingwood game. Millie Pecky, 2 goals with her 13 disposals. And it was just very, very hard for her opposition to stop. 2 goals, like 13 disposals, 5 marks. She was awesome, backing up her 5-goal performance from last week. Paige Price in the ruck. Now, she went up against Loz Pearce, who was a star ruck for Melbourne's AFLW side. I would say she had 12 disposals, and Loz had 17, but Paige won the hitouts by over 20 against Loz, just like 37-16 or something. So she deserved a spot on the side. They were both the best rucks this round. And considering Loz is an AFLW ruck, Paige Price got the job done, which gives her the points on the board here. So she done very well. Maddie DeCosmo had about 26 disposals, had like 12 clearances, deserved a spot on the side. Mecca Morrissey, speaking about clearances, she had 12 clearances as well with 25 disposals. And she was just really, really good for Geelong, and then win over Carlton. Isla Baldwin, 23 disposals, had a really good game in the midfield. Ava Seaton kicked a goal with 23 disposals. She was very good for Port Melbourne and through the clearance game. Bella Clark was one of Collingwood's best players with 19 disposals. A lot of those were contested possessions. For her influence, she had a really bad collision with Courtney Bromwich, who wears the helmet for Port Melbourne. I had my back turned and I saw a split second. I thought, oh, hopefully they're both okay. Bella miraculously came back on. They were both down for about 30 seconds. So I know Bella's okay because she came back on. But yeah, hopefully they're both crystal clear and all good to play this week, because that was a rough landing. It's good to see that Bella played out the game, and hopefully Courtney's all good as well. But yeah, hopefully both are all good and will be playing this week. Bella was fantastic, 19 disposals. Absolutely deserved a spot playing on the wing for Collingwood, which is a hard role to play, they say sometimes too. Stella Reid, she was stellar again. 15 disposals, like 7 or 9 intercept possessions down in the back half for North Melbourne, the former Tiger, and she was really good. And Amy Trinidad, no matter how Carlton are going, she's going good every week. 25 disposals, and one of the best players on the ground. Shani Whiting kick 3 was an emergency. Average Tregalis didn't have over 20 touches, but she was really good in the midfield. Ange Gogas did have over 20 disposals for Darabin, and you could argue she deserved a spot on the team of the week, but she didn't. Just missed out. Ash Patton kicked 2 goals with 8 disposals. She was close to being named as well. Chloe Sultry, from when I was there, she was freaking awesome. Like Tasha Edmiston, all her play led to scoring involvements and a few goals. She got a goal herself, lace out from Tash. So she was just very, very good. Gabby Collingwood kicked a goal in 16, having a consistent year as Gabby Collingwood. Abby Faffel was one of the next midfielders to be chosen. Stacia Stevenson playing mid-forward again was really good. Tamsin Crook, key defender, did pretty solid. Same with Sarah Sinani down the back line for the Bulldogs. They were their 2 better players overall. So let me know your thoughts on my team of the week down below. Right, now it is time to let's review the round 9 game, shall we? So we're going to start with the first game. Actually, I want to mention the ladder. Actually, hang on. No, so I'm just going to mention the scores for a second. So Williamstown, Collingwood, Box Hill, Sandy, North Melbourne, and Geelong got the wins this week. So what's that shape up for the ladder? So North Melbourne, Box Hill, and Williamstown, in that order, are all equal first on 28 points. North's percentage is way ahead of Box Hill, and Box Hills is way ahead of Williamstown. So they're the top 3 on 28 points. 4th place is Sandy on 26 points because they've had that draw. They're on 141%. In 5th place is Collingwood on 24 points, and Essendon are in 6th place on 20 points. Now, Port Melbourne are just outside by 2 points with a percentage of 123.8. They're 18% or so, just under 17.5% to be precise, behind Sandy. A few wins, and that could put them back ahead. But really, after that, Bulldogs are out of the top 6 by 4 points and a little bit of percentage. Darabin are out by a lot of percentage and 4 points. Carlton and Geelong's season are over. Carlton have won 2 games. Geelong have won their first game for the year, and Casey are still winless on the bottom with 0 points. But realistically, I think the top 6 is down to 7 with Port Melbourne. Realistically, the only side outside it can make it. I guess the Bulldogs have a small chance, but I haven't rated their season so far without the AFLW players, or limited. So I think Port Melbourne are a chance, if anyone, to get in there. And it could be at the expense of Essendon as well. Sandy is starting to find their mojo back, which is great to see. Now, Williamstown 27 defeated Essendon 11. Williamstown by 16 points. Shani Whiting kicked 3 of her team's 4 goals, and Essendon kicked 0-11-11. Wow. It was great to see Megan Misford back in the side for Essendon. Emily Eves was great for Williamstown, along with Ruby Mahoney. Back-to-back weeks for Rubes doing well. Neve Crowley played a part. Georgia Howes played a part in the ruck as well. They're still missing their main ruck in Kat O'Brien. For Essendon, though, Abby McDonald did not play. She missed through concussion, so she was a massive out. Brooke Plummer played a part in the side for Essendon. Jada Richardson, again, had a good game. But, disappointing Essendon would be after their almost stealing the victory from Collingwood last week to perform like that. Inaccuracy in front of goal. I know Williamstown, like Windy Hill, is a windy ground, but 0-11 is still 0-11. Port Melbourne 26, defeated by Collingwood 53. Collingwood by 27 points. If you were at this game like me, or you were watching this game like me, you would know the margin isn't probably a true reflection on the game. Port Melbourne just had a few little glimpses where Collingwood kicked 2 goals in about a 3 or 5 minute patch, but unfortunately for them, that was all Collingwood had to do. I thought the game was even for the most part, but Collingwood took more opportunities in their little patches of form. Collingwood were the far better side and deserved to win, don't get me wrong. Port Melbourne had a few chances late in the third. They got a few goals to bring it back to like 8 points, but then Collingwood kind of got it going in the last and, got the job done. Molly Eastman pushed down forward to kick a goal. Courtney Jones kicked a goal as well. Millie Peck kicked 2 goals. That's kind of the difference there. Tale Sanger was freaking awesome. 33 disposals, 11 tackles. Bella Clark with 19 disposals, just mentioned before. Millie Peck, 2 and 13. I thought Gemma Ramsdale had a good part of the game as well for the Pies. Caitlin Matthews was a late first game in a long time for her. I think it might be 6-9 months. She was on Saints AFLW list last year, but it was rampant by knee injuries. She was a late inclusion, so it was great to see her get in. Taya Christensen played her first game for the Pies and kicked a goal on debut, so well on to Taya. For Port Melbourne, Ava Seaton Davidson was really good. I thought, they toiled hard in the ruck, but I think Mackenzie Bourne and Erin McKinnon got the job over the Port Melbourne duo of rucks. But you have that sometimes. I thought Port Melbourne generally played pretty solid. Collingwood just had a bit more class and a bit more experienced players and got the job done over Port Melbourne. Casey 36, Box Hill 48, Box Hill by 12 points. Now, if you just look at that scoreboard, you go, oh yeah, Box Hill would have done. No, Casey were well in front, but they had 8 AFLW players in this side, including Talia Gillard, Saray Taylor, Maeve Chaplin, Loz Pearce, Gemma Ragioni, Amelia Deathridge. There's 8 of them, but Molly O'Hare, their top draft pick, and there might be one I'm forgetting. Gabby Colvin as well. So they had 8 AFLW players playing. You could argue that Molly and Sarah Lampard, Molly, Talia Gillard, and Loz Pearce are clearly walk-up starts. The others are in the conversation as well. So, and Maeve Chaplin's a walk-up start too, I should have said. So, Casey put up a good fight. But again, just like with other clubs, like the Bulldogs, you had your AFLW players in. And then you lost the lead with those AFLW players, so they should be disappointed. They really should. Now, will they have those players this week? That might impact my selection for this week when they play this week. But for this game, Lampard was awesome, 26 disposals. Loz Pearce was solid in the ruck. Saray Taylor and Maeve Chaplin were good down in the back line. Molly O'Hare had a really good game as well. For Box Hill, it was the same usual suspects that were so good. Stacia Stevenson, Isla Baldwin, Paige Price, Matilda Van Berkel, Gabby Collingwood, Jess Matten, all very, very good for Box Hill. They should probably start telling recruiters that they're some of the names that should be picked up if they're going to be named in my team of the week and everything like that, back-to-back weeks or in the conversation of the best players all the time. But credit to the Hawks for coming back, but they probably wouldn't be happy, albeit there was AFLW players galore in there for Melbourne or Casey, but credit's due. They just beat a side that had 3/4 of the side have AFLW players, so one under Box Hill, who have no current AFLW players playing in it. But there should be some that are current VFLW players for Box Hill that should be AFLW players right now. Stacia Stevenson, Isla Baldwin, in particular, those two. And there's Matilda Van Berkel as well. So there you have it. Next game for me to go through will involve Sandy. Sorry, no, not Sandy. North Melbourne 54 to Darabin 14. North Melbourne by 40 points. Milestone games galore for Darabin. 2 players celebrating 100 games. Steph Simpson, who I've had on the podcast recently, and Amy as well, and Alyssa. So well done to those girls for reaching 100 games. It's a great achievement. I'm sure that everyone can be proud of. And in this same game, Nike to Jock for North Melbourne celebrated game 50 and in style with 4 goals for 17 disposals. What more can you ask for from a key forward? An athletic machine, the X factor of this competition. She just turns up every week and just kills it every week. They should start telling AFLW recruiters, Nike to Jock, Nike to Jock. Nike needs to be on our list. We've got a list spot. We need a forward. Hello. Even if you don't need a forward, not going to hurt to have another one on your list, especially an X factor like Nike in your side. It's just plain and simple. She should be on an AFLW list. I don't know how many times I need to say it, along with the other girls I mention every week, Sasha Stevenson, Isla Baldwin, Amy Trinidad, Talia Sanger, Charlotte Brewer, Molly Eastman as well, Millie Peck, Sophie Locke. So much talent in this competition. Matilda Van Berkel that need to be on AFLW list right now. And there's more that I haven't even mentioned. That should be on links. Tamsin Crook even as well. Sarah Sinetti might be back on an AFLW list soon. Former Pie. Bella Clark as well. Stella Reid. I can go on and on. Ava Seaton's put up a good patch of form the last year or so since moving across from interstate to Port Melbourne last year through the midfield and doing well again this year. So there's so much talent they could pick from these competitions. So Stella Reid, Renee Turney are really good for North Melbourne. They just have consistent performance. Charlotte Ryan had a role done well as well. For Darabin, it was Ange Gokus, as always, that led the charge. After losing Lulu Beatty, they've kind of been shown up a fair bit. And I kind of expected this once Lulu was gone, to be honest, because Lulu and Ange Gokus are a key part of their side. And when one's out, they tend to struggle. So they need to probably find someone else in the off-season to help strengthen their side out. So the last two games to go through, shall I? I was going to say last two games, Western Bulldogs 13, Sandy 42. Sandy by 29 points. As of what I expected. Bulldogs, no AFLW plays, they lose. They had a big turnover last year. Sarah Skinner, Tali Pulcino, Jamie Henry, Mia Clifford, Courtney Ugle. There was others. They lost. Dom Carbone, their skipper, went to Collingwood and is killing it for them. And as she did again on the weekend, did Dom Carbone. So, that whole range of change has shown that they're getting beaten badly when there's no AFLW players. And Sandy took them to the cleaners, should I say, at Wynn Oval. They used the win well. Bulldogs did not. Sandy had a little bit of the ball in there, 50 against the win in the third quarter, and that was the difference right there. Bulldogs started okay, but then faded away pretty quickly once they were against the win. And when they had the win the second time around in the third quarter, Sandy just had the ball in their half a little bit more than the Bulldogs did. So, that just sums it up right there for the Bulldogs and the way they're going, and they won't make finals at this rate. Sandy, though, Tasha Enwis on the wing was phenomenal. Sophie Locke up forward. Ash Patton, Michaela Bloom was also good up forward. Izzy Hartog played a part as well. They just all round. Stacey Livingston, Deanna Jolloff. She had 20 disposals off the half back line. She was really good. I probably should have had her in the team of the week as well, but it was so strong in that back line. It was impossible to keep naming defenders. Stella Reid was good for North as well, as I mentioned before. But yeah, they were the pick of the crop for Sandy. Chloe Sultry was awesome as well. Abby Tregellis through the midfield. Imogen Evans was really good in the midfield as well. I should have mentioned Imogen earlier, but she was really good in the midfield as well. For the Bulldogs, Sarah Sinetti was one of their better players. Leah Swain, had about 40 hit-outs in the ruck, played a part. Again, though, against inexperienced young rucks for Sandy on debut, Anis Everett, and the part-time rucks. So she did well in the ruck, but that didn't impact the result. But still had a good game to Leah Swain in the ruck with the hit-outs. Now, the last game to go through is Carlton. Yes, this is correct. Carlton 2-2-14 to Geelong 56. 42-point victory to Geelong. Wow. Now, talk about making a statement. Carlton beat Geelong in Geelong not that long ago by about 21 points. Convincingly beat them by 21 points. Geelong were never a shot in that game. Now, one player I've mentioned a few times that Geelong have missed desperately is Mel Staunton. I'm sure she would admit it hasn't been her best season. She's been in and out of the side, had some surfing commitments and doing bloody well at that, might I add. But, in and out of the side through that is the captain of the Geelong Football Club in the VFLW side. And she probably would admit that her season hasn't been the greatest form. But, gee, you talk about wanting to make a statement against your old side. She absolutely did that. 2 goals, 14 disposals, like 7 tackles. A lot of those were contested possessions as well. Mel stepped up when it delivered when it mattered against her old side in Carlton, who I'm sure she did not want to lose to twice in the matter of 8 weeks. I don't think she played in the first game, but she did in this one. And she was really good. Abby Vaffel was really good in the midfield. Hit a goal and a nice goal too with 22 disposals. She was stiff for the team of the week, but it was very hard to pick this week. Chloe Bryan in the backline was really good. Madeline Sexton was really good as well. Just all around a great game from Geelong. Hayley Peck in the ruck was dominant as well. Grace Matza was good for Carlton in the ruck. Amy Trinidad was good in the midfield as always. Nadia Von Batouch killing it down in the back line. But I'm telling you right now, this just shows to me that Carlton just waltzed into this game thinking it was going to happen. It happened last time. Geelong have progressively gotten worse. They thought this is going to be a walk in the park. Well, they had a rude awakening and they got absolutely embarrassed by a side that hadn't won a game and, might I add, hadn't come close to winning a game. The only game they were close to winning was the game against you guys or you girls earlier in the year when you beat them by 21 points. And now they slaughtered you at Icon Park, the ground in the background of this episode. And easily, Carlton didn't fire a shot. I feel sorry for Nadia Von Patouch and Amy Trinidad, who bust their ass off every single week. Hannah Scott was also really good, might I add, with 26 disposals. But outside of that, did everyone else turn up? It's just disappointing. Now, I'm not going to question the effort, but Geelong have been terrible this year, and they took you to the cleaners. I would not be happy at all if I was a Carlton coaching staff, and I would say it's going to be a harsh reality check for them for this week. And they're already not making finals, so try and change things up. Show some support for Amy Trinidad, who's been fantastic all season, and Nadia Von Patouch as well, and Hannah Scott, who's had a decent year as well. But you need more and more people to consistently perform well. Evie Lee had a good game a few weeks ago and then fell out of the side this week. Maybe she should have stayed in from the first time. She should have stayed in. So, Carlton need to do something about this, because this season is over for them, Geelong and Carlton. It was gone before the season started, and now they need a massive, massive change in form. Even if they lose every game, you've got to show that you were in it. And this game, they were never in it from the start. Essentially, when they got their first goal, that was it. It was all over Red Rover after that. And Geelong took them to the cleaners. And Carlton should be embarrassed with that result, because Geelong should not have won a game all season. And credit to Geelong for winning a game this season. Now, let's preview the round 10 games. Now, there's 14 rounds. There is another bye round after round 13, but we'll worry about that when we get to it, which is will lead into round 14, which is the last home and away game before finals. So let's preview the round 10 games, shall we? So the first game to go through is Saturday, 10:05 a.m. at Williamstown's ground, DSV Stadium. It's Williamstown hosting North Melbourne, 3rd v 1st. I'll be tipping the Roos in this one by 20 points. Williamstown always keep it low scoring, but North Melbourne know how to score. So it's the girls that have a defensive side and an attacking side for North and defensive for Williamstown. So we'll see who gets the job done. I think North will win by 20 for that alone. 10:35 p.m. at Genesis Steel Oval in Darebin. It's Darebin hosting Sandy. I'm tipping Sandy to win this one by 30 points. To hopefully Stacey Livingston is playing in the back line, and I'll be confident with a victory. That's how important she is for Sandy right now, and been a key contributor for the last 2 wins, along with Sophie Locke and Abby Tregellis in particular, and Imogen Evans as well. 11:05 a.m. at Windy Hill. It's Essendon hosting Casey. I'll be tipping Essendon in this one by 10 points. If the AFLW players play, I will tip Essendon by a point. There you go. Box Hill v Collingwood at Box Hill City Oval, 11:35 p.m. 11:35 a.m. Victorian time. It's Box Hill and Collingwood. Ooh, 2nd v 5th. This is basically like a 2nd v 3rd for me. I'll be tipping Collingwood in this one by 5 points, but I think Box Hill can get the job done for sure. I mean, you can mount a case for either side. It's so hard to choose. I'll tip Collingwood by 5, but with no confidence this could go either way. I reckon this won't be a blowout. This will be either Box Hill win by like 5 points or Collingwood win by like 10 points. I just think it's going to be that damn close. 12:35 p.m. at Icon Park. It's Carlton hosting Port Melbourne. I'll be tipping Port Melbourne in this one by 30 points. And the final game to wrap up round 10 of the VFLW competition at 1:05 p.m. at Deakin University, which is in Geelong at Warm Ponds. It's Geelong hosting the Western Bulldogs. Wow. Geelong got their confidence up. The Bulldogs, their confidence is shot. But it's Geelong. So the Western Bulldogs will win this game by 20 points. They need to make a statement, the Bulldogs, and win by more. But I don't think they'll win by heaps. But 20 points is decent, I guess. But so the Western Bulldogs by 20 points. I will wrap up this program this evening with this. If you know any AFLW players, any state league players, like VFLW players, for example, or any draft prospects, and you'd like to send them on the channel in a goal kicking challenge and or interview, please do send me a message and we'll try and get something sorted. Thank you for watching this week's episode of the VFLW Game Changers, hosted by your host, me, Scoops. And good luck to every team this weekend, and may the best team win in each and every game. Thank you, and go